Hello and welcome. My name is Aaron Brown, and welcome to my introduction speech for Communications 1020. So, in preparing for this speech, I took it as an opportunity to kind of reflect on certain aspects of my character that I felt were particularly unique to me. And so I'd like to do that and use three objects that I feel capture that sentiment. So the first is a Staedtler's drafting pencil. And the reason why I chose that is because as a youth, I drew a lot, and this was in consequence to a kind of really just vivacious imagination, and drawing was really a way for me to tap into that and to be able to give some kind of form to all of these ephemeral thoughts and ideas that were swirling around in my young head. And so that was a very satisfying thing for me as a young boy. And it further introduced me to some of the more fundamental aspects of what I would, I guess, be considered character attributes of sorts. I mean, like, the dynamic of the hero and the villain, courage and bravery, good and evil. All of these things were essentially subject matters which were floating within the realm of my imagination as I drew these things. And of course that led, as I drew, to questions about who these characters were and the stories that followed after them. And so inevitably that brought me to my second object, which is a pen. And the pen allowed me to explore the depth of these drawings through writing. As I wrote, I was able to answer some of those questions and broaden and deepen these characters and their stories, their origins, who they were as individuals. And in doing that, and in writing those things, I discovered about what attributes are important to me, or what attributes I feel are, say, brave and courageous, and what aspects I feel are not so brave or not so courageous. So that kind of further helped to define what I feel is kind of a fundamental philosophical, moral, ethical grounding. So that was an interesting experience, and I was able to do that while I was having all of this fun just formulating this new world. But as I pursued writing and looking for new ways to be able to communicate, I found it inevitably necessary for me to read more. And so that brings me to my third object, which is which is a book. And that book is actually fantastic for would-be writers of any genre. But as I read and I got introduced, I became armed with the fundamental tools that are necessary for communicating these ideas. And that was extraordinarily important to me as a kind of introverted individual initially. And so as I drew and as I wrote and as I read, I grew as an individual, and I feel like I really defined who I was as an individual and who I ultimately am. And with that, I'll close, and I want to thank you for the time and listening to my topic.